When the pandemic was going on and the big deal, and everybody was trying to figure out their money situation, things were getting shut down, businesses were getting shut down, and everything, and people were wondering about the economy and this and that. I had an idea that actually could have made sense, at least from an outside perspective. Um, if people had just decided, those that ran their businesses and whatnot, as far as housing, real estate companies and whatnot, if the government had allowed, instead of shutting down businesses and shutting down people's personal lives, if we had neutralized all rent, all um, taxes for property, all of that for 3 months, but allowed people to buy houses still, allowed people to get into a new apartment. If you had just neutralized for 3 months, maybe even 5 or 6, on having to pay the difference on that or having to pay anything, and then just pick it back up after that time period so people had time to save money and put away money or figure out how to get money, and then how to get businesses back up and running, or at least allow them to properly adjust everything, then I don't think we'd be in the state that we're in, or at least not close to it. But as it stands, people got cut short on their checks. People got cut short on them being able to pay taxes as well as anything to do with taxes. It just disrupted the harmony of everybody and everything. Obviously, I mean, we all went through it. But if we had just held off on having to pay 3, 4, 5 months of just paying where we live for, since everything was shut down, that would have made more sense. But nobody that I've ever seen used any logic on that level. It's like, we still got to pay for a place to live. Okay, so who's in charge of the rules on that? If you're still buying groceries, you would have had money for groceries. If you're still paying for laundry detergent, you still would have bought laundry detergent, except you could have afforded it. You could have afforded food. You could have afforded clothing. You could have afforded bathroom supplies. You could have afforded to actually take a shower. You could have afforded to actually save up a little bit for something else. You could have learned how to budget better, but everybody was pushed because of panic mode, and masks are so important. And yet, what people kept saying and what people kept doing contradicted reality. The fact is that if you notice that the most important things in your life, when it comes to necessities, are also the most expensive. You gotta sleep. How much does a bed cost? A couple thousand. Less than 2,000 maybe. How much does a car cost? Because you gotta get to work, you gotta get to places and run errands. A few thousand. How much does a place to live cost? Several hundred thousand if you're buying. Fact is that the most expensive things in the world are the necessities, but we could have at least done with what we had with the stuff that went into those places. So rent, buying, you know, you're paying monthly on whatever you have to live in. So if we had just delayed that for about 3 to 5 months, but had to pay for everything else and still kept buying a house if you wanted one, still kept renting a new place if you wanted one or needed one, in both cases, then guess what? We would have had more money. But now all we got is people, look out for your own, take care of your own, be careful of your own. See, this country was founded on helping each other, even though there were wars, even though there was a lot of stuff. What happened in between the wars? What happened in between all the fighting? People just lived. Back in the 80s and 90s, people started actually looking out for their neighbors. People started actually looking out for each other. Yeah, we had to have those after school specials about watch out for the bad people, watch out for gangs, watch out for drugs. But we looked out for each other. We had neighborhood watches. We had neighbors keeping in contact with each other. We had barbecues. Off and on in different places throughout the states, people still do that. But it's dwindled down. Too much news. Not enough living with people. Not enough interacting with people the right way. Less accusations. But when you create poverty because you're in charge of a city, a state, a country, and there's more than one of you, The only thing you need to agree on is how to get people boosting their money back in, because that's the one thing you seem to keep complaining about. So it's up to you people in charge, that look at how things could be if we did something that simple. And that includes the people who own the real estate companies, that work for the real estate companies. If you don't have to pay for your housing either for a few months, and everybody agreed, hell, you could still make money by selling houses because you wouldn't be out of a job. You just wouldn't be paying for anything for those months. But again, it's up to you guys. You want to take and keep drowning, keep losing houses, watch the cost of everything go up? Keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. But I can guarantee you, if you took that break, nobody would be in such a bad position, or at least hardly anybody, I should say. Not nobody. But a lot more people would be better off, and some people would actually have a chance to have a house, to have a place to rent. Hell, to actually catch up on all their bills. And it wouldn't even be catching up on the rent or the mortgage or anything like that. It would just be postponed until it was time to actually pay it up. But that's just my thought on it. Whatever you think, this is still food for thought. Take care.